Most traders think they're losing because, well, they don't have an edge. They don't understand something. The strategy they've implemented isn't working. The market's wrong. Somebody doesn't understand why Bitcoin is a good investment. They don't know why fiat's dying. They don't get why AI and tech stocks are the future. And they have to find a reason, right? But often it's the non obvious habits or mindset shifts that could take somebody from a slightly losing trader to a profitable one. So we're going to walk through 10 non-obvious things that helped me turn from somebody who was slightly losing over a long period of time to a winner and then to a big winner. Let's tap in. My name's James. I've been trading for over 12 years. And back when I was starting out for the first couple of years, I had no traction, no confidence, constantly losing, inconsistent, and I really didn't know how to find my footing in any market, let alone one. I was there, I was putting in the time, I studied, I was looking at markets, but some things were just off. I didn't really know how to sit down and approach the things that I was trading. And it seemed like everybody else was able to sit down in their chair, get to work, and print profits. I really didn't understand. So what I didn't realize is that it wasn't necessarily that people were quote unquote better than me. A lot of them were just starting at the same time and had the same amount of awareness or intelligence. They were just able to implement better habits and better kind of one off approaches mentally and shifting their perspectives into ways that worked for them. And once I was able to do that and kind of digest and comprehend what I'm about to tell you, it took me to the next level to where I was able to steamroll and have confidence and have that positive momentum snowball. And then I could take off in my trading career. So if you've ever thought that you were missing a certain strategy, that you've tried copy trading other successful traders, that you've switched from system to system, from market to market, and you don't feel like you have an edge or that it's even possible, let's run through these 10 things. I think they're going to help you. And by the end of it, you should be one step closer to being an actual winning trader. So let's dive right in. The number one non obvious habit of a winning trader is that they measure their own behavior and emotional state, not just the P&L on the screen. So what I mean by that is they're going to wake up and approach their desk every day and they're going to take a scan of themselves and to be like, okay, where was I? Where am I at? Where am I trying to go? What things have been working for me? What things have not been working for me? How do I feel? How is my sleep? How are my relationships? What else in my life is bleeding into my decision framework right now? Because some people are better at compartmentalizing and not compartmentalizing than others. But if you're able to take that scan and be like, okay, I am in a good mindset. I've been playing my A game and I believe I'm going to continue to do so. I can see markets clearly right now. I have momentum. Then maybe it's a time and a day where they're going to step in there with an aggression and a confidence that somebody that's playing their C game and not seeing things the right way wouldn't necessarily have. So if you can look in the mirror and very succinctly say, this is where I'm at, and be truthful with yourself, it's going to help you not force things and to really push your edge when you have it and to back off and wait for fat pitches when you don't. This is something that good traders do, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. They're going to know the litness of themselves better and more consistently than somebody who's a losing trader. Number two is that winning traders will only be trading when it makes sense for them. When it aligns with their strategy, their personality, their trading archetype, that's when they're going to step in and that's when they're going to exert the things that they're good at. And if you don't, if you're just trying to force things, if you're trying to do a trade that somebody else is doing, you're going to be somewhat out of alignment with who you are. And the more and more you do that, the more and more it's going to take off P&L layers over time. It might seem like a small thing now, a small decision here, a small decision there. But honestly, just like poker back in the day, you'll have big pots, you'll have big trades that'll be a bit more obvious and they'll play themselves. It's more about those small and medium-sized decisions that you make day to day that add up to this gigantic impact over time. So if you don't feel like something sits well with you, if a market is not acting in a way you feel comfortable with, if it's an asset that you haven't traded before, stay away. Good traders do this. Number three, speaking of copy trading, this is something I'm going to always hammer home. There are times and places where it matters and you could do it and you might have edge and you might be early. I get it. But in the grand scheme of things, you got to avoid it. You have to go within yourself and only trade what makes sense to you. The more you copy trade other people, the more you try to take input and be reactive to everything, you are not going to exert your powers, your confidence, your alignment, your archetype onto the markets. And it's going to be more problematic than you might think. Shiny object syndrome and FOMO, this is something that drives this action a lot. And this is something that maybe comes with more time in the seat, but you need to be able to let those things go. There's always another market opportunity. And the most important thing, as always, is that you keep your seat at the table, keep your seat at the game. And if you are trying to chase things that other people do or returns that other people have, you're going to be one step closer to making that mistake that'll kick you out of the game. So remember, just quote unquote, be yourself, trade within your own game plan, your process, and trust that eventually you're going to have your turn. There is going to be things for you to do. Non-obvious habit number 4 is trading the size and the conviction of your identity, of your feeling at the moment in the present time, not because of the results that have come recently or this need to chase losses, or you had UP&L and now you're down. You need to trade with whatever is being presented to you in the moment. And good traders do this. They're able to calculate, like, okay, this opportunity here, based on the things that are coming in, I should be using this much size based on my portfolio, my confidence in the trade, my execution style. This is what the process has determined I should use for size. I'm not going to just add to that because maybe I'm down on the day, or maybe I'm feeling really good and really confident. I'm going to just 3x the size of that, right? And in reality, it might be a winning trade, but again, you are going outside of your wheelhouse because you're reacting to something else. So you need to trade within yourself based on your identity as a trader, based on your archetype, not because of some ambition you have to have a huge day or the need to chase a big losing week. Number 5 is that they respect this idea that no position is a position, that boredom is actually the devil sitting on your shoulder waiting for you to act. You know, a good trader might say, you know what? Things are slow today, nothing's moving. And even though I'm down on the week, I'm not going to force anything. I know based on my history that, like, this is usually when I can make a mistake that could turn into 3 mistakes, that could turn into me having a really bad month, all because I was a little bit bored. New traders feel like, you might have heard somebody say this before, like, well, if I just win $500 a day, I'll make this much a month and this much a year. So they come in with this mindset that they have to find something. There has to be an opportunity. Look at all these markets. There has to be a trade. I'm going to force it out there. Good traders don't do that. You might average out to $500 a day, but that's going to be over a long period of time with the process oriented thing of, like, let's see what the market gives to me today. The number 6 non-obvious thing is that people don't have this idea of a binary outcome, that this predictiveness of what's going to happen or should happen or they want to happen. They think more in bets and probabilities. They have this curve of what could happen, right? Oh, here's the tail events, a really good outcome, a bad outcome, my base case, my slightly less than base case. They take that and they determine, okay, well, how much should I be risking based on all of those outcomes? And then what should I game plan for each of those based on how it's going along the way? So this flexibleness, this adaptiveness is what is going to take you to that next level. You have game planned through your head all of these different scenarios. You are ready for them. You understand the risks and rewards for each of them. And that's going to take you into a winning mindset. You know, quick side note on that. One of the reasons I think a lot of people think people are robotic in trading, because some of these people have done such a good job thinking through the potential outcomes of any scenario, and they're so good at managing their risk that when something good happens or bad happens or mediocre happens, they've already rehearsed it in their head subconsciously, so that they've kind of already visualized and lived through that experience, which means they're not going to be as reactive or hot or cold or up or down when it actually comes to fruition. Number 7, you've probably heard that, like, sometimes the biggest losses can come after the biggest wins. And I guess when you say it out loud, it seems a little obvious, because if you just keep winning and keep winning and keep pressing, eventually you are going to basically feel like a god and that you could do no wrong. And often you are sized up in those moments. Everything is going right, and you feel the need to maybe take a spot because everything is going so well that you might not have taken if you were in your original state. So this overconfidence will lead to a big downswing, especially if you're in the green. So good winning traders are able to kind of take big wins, right? Have this momentum to the upside and then take a pause. And not only a pause to just kind of reset and recalibrate where they're at, but to look back, do a little post-mortem on all the things that just worked and say, hey, Was this because I executed well and stuck to my process and have a lot of confidence and of seeing things right? Or did I kind of get a little bit lucky there? Did I run a little bit better and get more EV out of that than maybe I should have? Maybe I should scale back down after that because there are times where you make a bad decision that ends up in a good result. And if you don't actually understand, hey, that wasn't supposed to happen, that actually was poor execution or a poor thought process, that's going to end up hurting you more in the long run because it kind of reinforced bad decision making. So take a pause, especially after you lose, but even after you win, and think about what just happened and how do I move forward. Winning traders do this. Number 8 is obsessing about your process. You should be so focused on knowing that exactly this is what's going to happen when I approach markets for the day or for the week or for the month. I'm going to come in. I have whittled down all of my decision making to this thing that I've sharpened like a knife over time. This is how I approach finding trades, dissecting trades, operating them in the moment, and doing a post-mortem afterwards. There should be no waffling or no empty voids in which something can kind of make that decision for you. All of those processes and your ability to kind of march through those, and whether that means it's hitting singles and doubles or going for home runs because you only take trades every once in a while, as long as you have your process and you stick to it and you can look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I stuck to that process, or hey, I need to alter some of these things because it's messing with me here or there. That's ultimately what's going to make you a winning trader. There's all sorts of different processes you can have, but you need to have your own and you need to always be recalibrating it. Non-obvious trait number 9 is a tough one, and that is being able to wait for the fat pitch, for the market or the game to come to you, to come towards your process. When you have clarity and you think, hey, I'm not rushed, I'm not confused, I'm able to just sit here in my pocket and wait to attack for when the time is right. If you have that clean setup, that clean exit, you're kind of waiting for your opportunity and your spot that's not being dictated by anything else but you and your process, that is when you are going to be playing your quote unquote A game. Now, this is one of the hardest things to do. You will obviously find yourself in like all sorts of positions that you kind of look back and you're thinking to yourself, why did I ever even get into that? And that's okay. But in the end, like, I think the best traders, the most profitable ones, are the ones that like they really lean into what they're good at, but over time they whittle down the amount of those little errors that they're making in their process to the point where they're barely getting into these positions that don't make any sense, that weren't with a clear mind. And the last non-obvious one, number 10, is this ability to understand when something has changed, when something has shifted and it doesn't feel right, and they're able to hit that eject button. Whether it's a news change, a narrative change, just something feels off in the vibes, whether you as a person had something happen with a friend or your wife, and it's altered the way you look at the trade you're in or the trade you're waiting for. They're able to step back and be like, okay, you know what? This is just a spot that I'm going to have to sidestep and reapproach later. And again, this all comes back to this ability to take a look at markets as a marathon, right? There's always going to be another trade. And if you miss, people don't give enough credit to this idea that if you miss something and you then force another trade that maybe wasn't part of your process and dialed, you will then make a subsequent mistake and another mistake. You won't be able to retrace often why you even started making these mistakes, but they can ripple out and have a huge effect. So all of these things are going to be, you stack them all on each other. And if you're doing all of those poorly, it's going to be really hard for you to be a consistent winner over time. But if you could kind of flip the script, think about these. These are non-obvious, but a lot of them are just mindset shifts and awareness tools. You will be able to go from a slightly winning or slightly losing trader to a consistently winning trader a lot easier than you thought. And these are things that myself and other colleagues of mine, it took us a year to 2 years. And I think now if you're able to sit with these as well as learn the archetype that you are as a trader, you should be able to be profitable within 3 to 6 months. And you could save a lot of time and energy here having to go through it yourself. So good luck. I hope that helps you. By the way, if you want to help kind of build out that trading circle for you, if you don't have one, I do have a free Discord. You could click the link in the description below. We hang out there, talk trade ideas, Bitcoin, crypto, stocks, whatever, insert anything in the world of risk. We're all trying to get better. Hop over there and we'll see you again next time.